The raven himself is hoarse, that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits, that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty.
The headmaster's mother had taught me how to read, and I was very fond of this lady, Mrs. Birch. And we used to listen to radio a lot together in her room. And one day she said, we're going to hear, she was a Cockney, she was an old Cockney, she said, we're going to hear some Shakespeare today, it's lovely stuff. And so she put me up on her lap and I nestled in her substantial bosom. And there was a slight tint of sherry on her breath. And we listened to this play, and of course I had no idea really what it meant or what it was about, but I just knew that it was an astonishing world of images that was being conjured up for me about duels, battles, witches, dead men walking, terrifying, wonderful stuff. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I think I was about maybe about 14 years old, and my English teacher had given us a copy of Othello. And I got to be honest with you, as in I'm a comprehensive school boy, and when it landed on my desk with a thud, I thought, well, here we go. You know, it's this posh stuff. And I remember opening it and reading it, and we were reading it out loud. And at one point, I think Iago says, "I will pour this pestilence into his ear." And I remember I remember that, and I remember looking at my mate who was sitting next to me, and we both, because I was quite into rap music at the time, and I thought, what a fantastically descriptive way of saying that he's gonna deceive somebody, pour pestilence into his ear.
I came to Shakespeare late. I was very frightened of him, I suppose, and then because I thought there was a way to do it, and I'd always been told I had a rubbish voice at drama school.
But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I, that am rudely stamped and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph.
I just have always loved that speech. Quite like to play the part, but always wanted to do that speech because that's the best bit, and it's the first speech. Thereafter it always looks a bit tiring, but that bit's marvellous.
I would love to play Juliet. Too late. But I do practice Juliet from time to time.
I'd like to play Bottom, or Falstaff. I'd like to play there's one part I'd like to play Falstaff. And one day, hopefully, I will.
I've twice played the part of Sir John Falstaff. There's something fundamental about him, something primitive, something, he is some sort of a force of nature, this amoral creature who is life itself in all its sprawling awfulness and wonderfulness. And his wit, his ingenuity, his tenderness, his frankness, it's an extraordinary character.
I've been very lucky as an actor to experience Shakespeare, to do Shakespeare, and every time I do it, I grow exponentially. I grow, my mind grows. His writing is so full of ideas, so full of ideas, of images, so full of magic, that really there's no other writer on earth that captures the human experience quite like William Shakespeare, whether it be hatred, love, jealousy, pain, desire. There's no other writer that captures the experience of that other than William Shakespeare.
People talk about great truths always, don't they? Eternal truths. But he seems to have an understanding of humanity, which is, and an ability to express it in a very beautiful way, which is what one of the things we ascribe genius to. And he's our homegrown genius.
For me, most importantly, it's the psychology of the characters, because he's such a great humanist, and nobody has described the human condition better or put us on the stage in terms of, you know, eternal truths that we still recognise now.
He seems to have given the best account of what it is to be human out of any writer who has ever lived. He seems to have had an instinctive understanding of every aspect of human experience.
I would not be Iago. In following him, I follow but myself, not I for love and duty, but seeming so for my peculiar end.
Sometimes I think possibly, you know, we should have a moratorium for a couple of years and just starve everyone of it, but just to refresh it. But it's endlessly reinvented. It's genius poetry.
I do believe that, you know, children should not be allowed to read Shakespeare until they're like 15 years old. Taken to see a play when they're 13 or 14, they say, oh, no, you can't read it, it's much too grown up for you. No, not allowed, not till you're 16. And of course you'd be dying to, you know, secretly reading Shakespeare in your bedroom.
I think once you stop being frightened of him, you know, and thinking, oh God, I'm not going to understand, it's all highbrow. Once you sort of let him in and go with it and don't worry if you don't understand every word, then it's electric, you know. It's got to be done well, though, I have to say. Shakespeare done badly is quite off-putting.
But I did Macbeth on a housing estate with people who had no experience of Shakespeare at all. And I can tell you that some of those performances were the best I've ever seen. There's a rawness to it, a rawness to their delivery, which really brings the language alive. So for me, it doesn't matter how much experience you have with Shakespeare. The important thing is you give it to people. Because the only way it comes alive is by doing it.
You can do anything with Shakespeare and it never breaks.
Politically, his understanding of power play and the things that are still going on now make it totally translatable to any time, because what he's dealing with is the absolute essence of human nature and human actions, and so that doesn't change too much.
I dreamed there was an emperor, Antony. Oh, such another sleep, that I might see but such another man.
I wish he knew women a bit better, I have to say. It's a huge repertoire, of course, you know, but once people get their man at a sort of, there's very few mature women in his plays, and, you know, when you get to my age, you want that aspect of life expressed for you as well. So he's my mouthpiece, except he's not quite saying what it's like to be, you know, who I am.
I didn't understand it when I first read it, but as soon as I understood it, as soon as I got the flavour of it, it just opened up a whole world of thoughts, of ideas, and for me, I think his legacy is the ability to explain the human character. No other writer can characterise the human experience quite like William Shakespeare.
What Shakespeare means to me, as much as anything else, would be a sense of my own identity as a British person.
Shakespeare is, to me, a connection with other centuries and a kind of continuity of humanity. He's articulated almost every human emotion and thought that I've ever experienced or could ever experience.
Well, Shakespeare's just food and drink to me. Shakespeare just restores me. Just to read a page of Shakespeare is like taking a tonic or having a vitamin injection. It's just life-enhancing.
I think all I would say is that Shakespeare is the beginning, the middle and the end, for me.
Our revels now are ended, and these our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep